you're going to be distributing 5,000 pairs of menstruation underwear to girls to help them attend school every month, and give them opportunities they otherwise wouldn't have had. Why is this so important to you?
I have two 15-year-old daughters, and we all went to high school. It's a bear. It's the thing you hate the most in the world, but the idea of it being taken away because it's embarrassing to go to school because you don't have materials is crushing. My son started doing some service work in Uganda. Drowning is the #1 cause of death for children there. So there's a bunch of lifeguards from his high school that were all going this summer to go and teach kids how to swim.
Mhm.
And from that, we met this NGO whose purpose for 10 years has to bring education and materials to Uganda. And it's not the cities, like there's some really urban, fun, lively, developed parts of the country. And then there's some places that aren't, that really are having a hard time. Child marriage is still a huge problem there because if you can't go to school and you have no way to make yourself solvent by 13, the children become a burden on the family. So the hope was, what can we do? So when we started talking to the NGO, they have tried all kinds of things. They've brought period materials in before. They actually bought a machine once to make period materials, but like in so many rural places, when the machine broke down, there were no parts, there was no engineer, there was no way to fix it. So my thought was, what's the smallest footprint where there's no sanitation issue, where there's no place to be made fun of, and that we don't need to do this twice. So Carla Welch, wow, you got to admire this woman. She's a celebrity stylist. She has all the joie de vivre. She has all the jeux. She can do a layout in Vogue. And what she did with all of her status was make the period company. So her goal when she was making it was to make period panties available to everyone. She wanted to put them in Walmart. I think the price break is normally around $30 and Carla's are about 12. So we approached her. Her materials, the panties that she makes last 8 years. If we can hand them out to girls at 10 years old, it'll cover them from puberty till they finish high school. It's a one-time event. There's no second footprint. There's no need for us to go back. We're super excited.
That's amazing. And as we're entering Women's History Month, why is discussing, education around menstruation so important? I think even in this country, we don't discuss it enough. And I mean, I myself, I just in the last, I don't know, 3, 4 years started using period underwear and had that available to me. But when I started my period at 11, there was nothing, on the market. And it was kind of an embarrassing thing. And it was something that I didn't even feel comfortable talking about to my friends who were also entering that stage of life.
Yeah, it's really frightening how far behind female medicine is. Like I'm in menopause now, which is, I like to call it reverse puberty, which is like just as embarrassing and secretive. And so much of medicine is originating from what happens to a man's body. And then we get like a little bit of a side story. So I remember the terror in junior high school of possibly bleeding through. Now, everyone knows that in order to continue the human race going, women have an egg. It's such a normal thing, but it's so secretive. I don't know how it got sort of attached to sexuality, where it almost has that that shame quality about it, as if you're doing something wrong. So I think, in the spirit of Meghan Markle, in the spirit of people who were like really pioneers of like, let's make this a regular word. I have some friends that were writers on Grey's Anatomy. And the first time they tried to have Addison say the word vagina, the network said no, you can't say the word vagina. And it was like, how is this a bad word? Standards and practices have updated, I think, from artists pushing that envelope. There was an assistant in the writer's room who said, well, me and my friends call it a vajayjay. So they started with vajayjay. And like little by little, anything that we can do to help to put a face to it, I was like, I can stand there and hand these out. Whatever tiny cachet I might have in Uganda, let me spend it this way. But if I can put my 15-year-old daughters next to me, if a 15-year-old could stand there and say, here, take this. My mom got it for me when I got my period. My hope is that we can start to change the shame around it.
And you and your daughters are going to be on the ground, but how can people from here help? What can we do?
We're working with an NGO called Reach a Hand Uganda. So they do this work all the time. And my hope is once we go in for the first time, they will be able to outreach to towns further and further outside of Kampala. And like everything else, they just need the resources to do it. The work that we're doing, they take no percentage of. 100% of the donation goes directly to the period company for the panties and the taxes and the shipping. That's it. Everybody on the ground is spending their own money to get there.
Wow, that's amazing. I'm
So
definitely,
exciting, right?
it is super exciting. And I think there needs to be more open conversation around it. I mean, I even think that it should be something we discuss in workplaces or just have the option of, hey, like I'm having a something going on because my period, I don't feel good, or I need to take time to step aside, or I need to go to the bathroom and take care of this without feeling like you're doing something you're not supposed to, or you need to hide it. It's
Yes. I think
long
there was
yeah.
a country that had just started period leave, that women were allowed a certain
Saw
amount
that.
a month for anything to do with period,
Mhm.
cramps, anything else. Um, it would be really good if you think just how long it's taken to get like proper maternity leave.
Yeah.
And we're like so far behind the rest of the world at this. And even childbirth, I think America is ranked third for maternal mortality rate in the world because we're just not updating with the times because it's not being taught in medical school. If the patient in the eyes of the medical field is male,